Alright, yo, we are finally here with my mother. She almost missed her appointment today. She was supposed to be here at 3 o'clock and it's 5:30, but we're gonna extend some grace because she's not feeling well. Since you're not feeling well, do you want to do a deep conditioner today, or do you just want to style?
Deep conditioner.
You want to deep condition. Okay. So what I actually wanted to do first was look at your scalp, because when we first started 2 weeks ago, you had like a couple of dry flakes in your scalp, like white flakes, not dry flakes, and that's a sign of scalp dryness. So you do have some up here. And then also was another sign of dryness is when I style her hair, she says it feels like I'm like pulling, or like it hurts, you say?
Yes.
Which is also a sign of dry scalp. So we're going to talk about dry scalp. We're actually going to deep condition first and then do the scalp massage after. So while I deep condition, do you have any questions about this last week? How did it go?
I had a horrible week with my hair. I think I like the moisture better than the twist out cream. I feel like it kept my hair longer. My hair was more frizzy this week, and then when I did massage it with the oil, I think the oil, I don't know if it like weighed down on the hair, I don't know what happened, but it ended up changing like the curl pattern, and then it became frizzy. So I actually had to put it up sooner than I normally do, which like by Tuesday I had to put it up versus how I normally wear it down till about Thursday-ish. So, and then it rained. So one time I walked into work and it was raining out and I didn't have any cover, or I walked out of work, one of the two, and I didn't have anything to cover. So that also played a factor into it. So it was just a rough week.
I think what contributed to that is, since you have fine hair, it was just too much product on your strands and it just weighed it down and just didn't do well with your hair type, or not type, but like thickness. So I think that's probably what happened, since you didn't experience that with just the leave-in conditioner and flaxseed gel. I think it was just too much product in your hair. So that's fine. It was just a test, or just an experiment, and that's, you know, good to share with people, because just because you test something and it doesn't work doesn't mean that you need to feel discouraged. It just means we have to try something else. And in this case, we know that the flaxseed gel by itself works well, so we can just go back to what we're already doing. I think the leave-in conditioner, the twist out frosting, and the combination of the oil was just too much. And then also with the oil, are you using, how many days did you massage your scalp?
I did, so my first time I believe was Tuesday. So, and I did twice this week, but I did it on Tuesday. So that was, or did I? Yeah, I did it on Tuesday, I believe. That was my first time. So
for the record, for everybody, we record these videos on Saturday. So Tuesday is like 3 days later. So you did, so would you say like every 3 days?
Well, this week I did Tuesday and then I did today.
Oh, I mean, if you look at a 7-day period, that's about every 3 days. My point about the oil was that if you're, oh wait, did you say you use a lot or no? Like a lot of oil?
I felt like the first time I didn't, but today I did, just because I knew that it was messed up anyway, and then we were gonna wash it. But the first time I feel like I didn't use a lot. I used probably like one, I put it in my hand like once, and I just massaged that in my hair.
Okay, because I was gonna say too, you really don't need to like be, if you're gonna be doing massages every day, which is the goal, you don't need a whole lot of oil, because typically your scalp has oil on it as well, and then also you just don't want to clog your scalp and then also have it weigh your hair down. So I think like a dime size amount of oil is okay, which is really a hard concept to kind of visualize, because with natural hair we really don't use a dime size amount of anything. But I feel like trying to get as close to a dime size amount of oil as possible would be better, especially for low density fine hair. Okay, so now that we talked about the oil, we can get into some general hair care tips for like anyone who's joining in along the journey and feels kind of like overwhelmed. There's like, I think, a lot of different steps and things you have to focus on when it comes to having healthy hair, and it's not one size fits all, so it can be very overwhelming. I think if we start from the beginning, you want to externally focus on your scalp first. So maintaining a healthy scalp environment looks like washing your hair frequently. If you have an oily scalp, you want to wash your hair frequently so your scalp is not being clogged. If you have a dry scalp, you want to make sure that you're also washing frequently, because you want to make sure that your scalp is getting enough water and moisture, and water is the best way to do that. During the week, to maintain that healthy scalp environment, you can get like a scalp serum. I actually have one that I started working on, which I want to make like a small batch to test for you during the week, because it can be helpful for dry scalp if you don't want to use oil on your scalp, which can, some people just don't like oil. Sometimes oil just has negative effects on people's scalp. Some people are sensitive to it. So a scalp serum, especially like the one that I'm formulating, will be able to hydrate your scalp. So after you move on from scalp care, I would say the basics of scalp care is washing frequently and making sure you're massaging your scalp to get the blood flow going, because that's especially important if you are on a hair growth journey. Those two things alone will set you up well, and make sure you're also hydrated, drinking enough water. I would say those are the three things that you need for basic scalp health. Moving on to that, you want to make sure that you are washing your hair frequently, which is not the same as consistently, because that can look different. You can consistently wash your hair once a month, but typically that's nowhere near as frequent as it should be if you want to have moisturized hair. When we talk about dryness, washing your hair is one of the best ways to moisturize it, because the shampoo allows your cuticle to open, which allows water to enter. And then once the water is in your hair, you can then add your leave-in conditioner, your moisturizer, which is going to keep that water in your hair. And the best way to do that is by opening your cuticle and washing your hair. So washing your hair once a week, every 2 weeks. There's people on Facebook that are saying that they wash their hair every 3 days. I saw on Reddit today, someone said since 2003 she's been washing her hair every single day, and it just works for her. So I'm not saying you need to do that, but if it's working for you, you know, the more you wash your hair, the better. I think there's, like with Black women, a fear of water in our hair. So I feel like maybe that's why a lot of us don't wash our hair as frequently as we should, and also just the misinformation that not washing your hair helps it grow, but not washing your hair does the complete opposite, because dryness is going to make your hair brittle, and it's not going to be able to withstand daily maintenance. Typically, if you are trying to retain length, you're not doing a lot of daily maintenance, but just in case you are, like any type of daily maintenance, whether it's brushing, combing, putting your hair in a ponytail, like all those things, if your hair is dry and brittle, it's going to snap very easily, and it's going to break. But if your hair is moisturized, it becomes more flexible and able to withstand that, and it's able to move with you and not snap. So washing your hair frequently, I would say at least every 2 weeks. If you can't do once a week, I would say at least every 2 weeks is going to be ideal. And then the next thing you want to get into if you're retaining length is the hairstyle, because your hairstyle matters a great deal. I just started wearing wash and goes again after like 5 years, because I was wearing braid outs for a long time, but then I didn't switch up my parts, so I had breakage in certain areas, and so I'm like trying to switch up my hairstyles now, and I tried wash and goes again, but because my hair is so coily, my ends just coil and they wrap around each other, and it's just horrible for single strand knots. So I'm working with that. I'm figuring out what I'm going to do about that, but some hairstyles are better for retaining length than others, and I don't really see like single strand knots being an issue with you, because your curls are a little bit looser. But if you have like hair like mine or any coily, I mean, I guess if it just depends on the person. Like, you could have hair just like hers and still have single strand knots. It just depends on you. But for her, I don't really see wash and goes being an issue for length retention because her hair doesn't have as many single strand knots as I do. For me, I don't know if wash and goes would be the best style because it just, like, my hair just wraps around each other itself. And I also, if my hair is out in a wash and go, I tend to like curl it around my finger and kind of just like, my hands are in my hair more during the day, which is also probably not the best. So you want to choose a hairstyle, and this will be different for everybody. Some people do grow their hair out in wash and goes, but you just want to choose a hairstyle that allows you to retain length, that allows you to not style your hair every single day. Ideally, the hairstyle that is best, you won't really have to do anything to your hair when you wake up, or if you are doing something to your hair, it's not going to be too much. Like, you're really just taking off your bonnet, maybe adding a gel to refresh your curls, but you're not brushing your hair every single day. You're not combing your hair every single day. You're not adding more product to your hair every single day. If that's what you're currently doing, then you need to find a different style, because all that manipulation is going to slow you down when retaining length. And after you pick your style, you want to make sure you're doing just normal maintenance things. So that's where you can think about protein treatments. You can think about your trims. You want to make sure you're paying attention to your ends, because the last thing you want to do is retain length and then get to your desired length and then have to cut it off because you weren't being consistent with your trims. You were not protecting your ends. You weren't paying attention. And then there's also the holistic piece as well, making sure you're managing your stress levels, making sure you're not deficient on any vitamins, because those things will show up in your hair pretty quickly. Well, actually, not pretty quickly. Sometimes, like with stress, you might be stressed out today, but you won't notice it in your hair until a couple months from now. But it didn't start, like, if you notice it 3 months from now, you might be like, something happened to my hair recently. But what's happening to your hair, what you're seeing now, is a reflection of something that started 3 months ago. So you just want to make sure that you're doing your best to manage your stress levels. Definitely make sure you get your vitamin levels checked, because your hair is not a vital organ. So what that means is that if you are deficient in any vitamins, they're going to go towards your essential organs first, like your heart, your kidneys, whatever. Your body's going to distribute them there first. And if there's nothing left over to give to your hair is just going to suffer and not have the nutrients it needs. I would say the nutrients that you really need to focus on: vitamin B, vitamin D. You definitely need protein. I need to work on getting more protein in my diet. Iron. A lot of people...
Collagen for older communities.
A lot of people have iron deficiencies but are not aware of how it's linked to how it affects their hair. I just saw this earlier on Facebook too, is that someone was talking about how dry their hair was and they didn't know why. And they said, yeah, I have a iron deficiency, but not sure if that's hair related. So a lot of times people just don't know that what's going on internally, any conditions that they have directly affect their hair. So make sure you are, if you do have any conditions, or if you're not sure, that you get checked and then figure out how that's affecting your hair so that you can manage your routine and kind of address your routine based on that.
You mentioned something in your tips about end care, like hair end care. Like, obviously make sure your trims are up to date. Are there anything else, or is there anything else that we can do for the maintenance of our ends to keep them from maybe splitting or whatever unhealthy other things might happen to our ends?
Keeping your ends moisturized is a big one, because if your hair is dry, like, that's a lot of the issues that come from, a lot of the issues that you'll experience, whether it's split ends, single strand knots, whatever the case may be. A lot of it stems from dryness, because curly hair is prone to dryness. So that is something that a lot of people just naturally will struggle with. So making sure that you keep your hair moisturized, using Capri's leave-in conditioner is a great way because the formula is a lot different than other products, and it does a great job with helping your hair retain water. So the water that I just sprayed in her hair, it'll stay longer with Capri's leave-in conditioner because the ingredients help to create a barrier on her strands that allow the water to stay in. If the water is evaporated, if I moisturize her hair today and it was dry tomorrow, and she's busy, she has work, she has other things to do, she's probably not going to be able to re-moisturize it, or it's just not going to be a priority. So you want to make sure you have something that's doing the heavy lifting for you. So I would say moisture probably is number one. Making sure you are not malnourished is probably number two, because if your hair is growing brittle, if it's growing in a way, if it's coming out of your scalp weak, it's going to split even if your hair is moisturized because it's just weak. It doesn't have the nutrients that it needs. And then I would say your styles and how you are manipulating your hair is number three. If you're aggressively detangling, aggressively styling, if you're brushing your hair every single day, that's all going to contribute to split ends, your ends being really rough, and needing to cut more, and you need to cut more often. So I would say really pay attention to that. I feel like I had another point as well. I'm always forgetting what I have to say, but yeah, I would say that's a good starting point.
You also mentioned early on about the oil, about wetting your hair and then applying oil. How would that work for me throughout the week? If my hair is already styled, I don't want to wet it because then it's going to mess up the curl pattern. So am I still just applying the oil without the water, or?
Yeah, I would say since you're washing your hair every week, I would apply the oil on your scalp right after you wash it. Like even next week, if while you're at the sink, you can just quickly massage your scalp while your scalp is still wet. And then throughout the week, you can just use a small amount of oil, because at that point the circulation will help your scalp produce natural oils, which will still be helpful. So I think that's fine.
I'm super excited about the reset. I couldn't wait till today. I was so not necessarily disappointed, not necessarily sad, but just like, because Tuesday, like I said, there was just a bunch of things with the rain and the oil and everything. My hairstyle didn't last as long, so I was excited and looking forward to today.
And that's normal and okay. Sometimes experiments fail, and you just live, laugh, and love, and move on, I guess. But I'm excited to see how now, just with the flaxseed gel and you still adding oil to your scalp and massaging it, how that goes. And it's also a good point to mention when you are experimenting, you don't want to change too many variables at once, because then you won't know exactly what is causing the problem. So it'll be interesting to see if your hair is still weighed down during the week or what happens. I think it's going to be raining a lot next week as well. And it's July next week and it's still cold and raining. Does your scalp still hurt when I'm styling?
A little bit.
I think with consistent massages, it'll get better. Before this, I actually think I wanted to ask this. How often were you washing your hair?
I think it was about once a week, maybe a week and a half. But the styles that I was wearing and the things that I was doing created a lot of where my hair, I don't know the correct terminology, but like it got tangled a lot, and and then I didn't have patience to like unravel it, and so I would like like pull out the knots or like detangle it rough, and I think that a lot of breakage was happening because of that too.
So were you mostly just throwing your hair in like a ponytail?
Ponytail, bun, or I would wash it, put moisturizer, but I wasn't putting water first, but I would just put the moisturizer and then gel and like put it up, like leave the curls out but put it up still. I really didn't understand the significance and the patience needed for a natural hair care journey. I mean, tied to all the day-to-day, sometimes that it's like the least of the issue, especially I feel like you don't see a lot of damage up front per se, but when you stop to really look at it, you see the damage, but the day-to-day up front, like, you really don't see the damage that it causes. But yeah, being patient with and having care when you wash, being patient and having care when you style, not being rough, not being fast, not being damaging to the hair.
Especially with curly hair, because all the bends which create the curls are weak points in the hair. So I mean, I guess hair in general is pretty strong, but curly hair and coily hair specifically is pretty weak and subject to breakage just because of all the bends in the hair which creates the curls.